This is the protagonist of our story today, Yun Hu. He lives with his father, Sergeant Park. Yun Hu's mother had tragically passed away when Yun Hu was born. No matter how difficult it was, Park did everything he could to make a good future for his son. So that night, Sergeant Park says goodbye to Yun Hu and leaves for work. That night, at a highway checkpoint, Park stops a suspicious vehicle and tries to question them. The behavior of the people inside the vehicle is very strange. Therefore, Sergeant Park asks the driver to blow into the relevant device to see if he is drunk. It seems that the people inside the car were in a trance. The next moment, the driver's ring on his hand glows red, and he starts to drive the car. Therefore, Sergeant Park hangs on the door of the vehicle and tries to stop the car. But in the end, Park falls from the car and is seriously injured. Fearing that he will lose his mother and father as well, little Yun Hu goes to the village church and prays to God to save his father. At that time, a young priest comes there and joins Yun Hu and prays for Sergeant Park until dawn. He had great faith in God that God would save his father's life. But unfortunately, Yun Hu's father also loses his life in the end. After that day, he completely lost his faith in God and began to hate God. Yun Hu also gives the priest who came to Sergeant Park's funeral to pray with Yun Hu and drives him away. If there really is a God in this world, Yun Hu could not understand why God waited until both his parents died. Time has passed, and now Yun Hu is an MMA fighting champion living in America. He has never lost a match. Once, in a match, Yun Hu's opponent had a cross tattooed on his back. Seeing that, out of hatred for the gods, a mysterious voice began to whisper in Yun Hu's ear, telling him to take revenge for his father. Therefore, he continuously beat his opponent until he lost consciousness in that match. While returning to Korea after the match, Yun Hu had a dream about his father. He followed his father in the dream and saw a cross on his father's coffin in a certain room. At that time, the same voice began to tell Yun Hu that the gods killed his father and that he would take revenge for his father. Therefore, he tried to take the cross and throw it away, but it did not escape Yun Hu's hand. The next moment, white flames emerge from the cross, and Yun Hu's hand starts to burn. Because of this, Yun Hu is very scared and wakes up from his sleep. But Yun Hu sees that his hand is really bleeding. Does that mean that it really happened? As soon as Yun Hu lands in Korea, he goes to see a doctor and puts medicine on his hand and goes to his apartment. That night, while Yun Hu is sleeping, a mysterious shadow appears and starts to torment him. It's as if that shadow is trying to enter Yun Hu's body. Because of this, blood starts to come out of the wound on Yun Hu's hand. As soon as that mysterious shadow sees the wound on Yun Hu's hand, it starts to scream with a numbing sound and starts to run away. After the shadow runs away, Yun Hu, who was unable to move, wakes up and sees that his hand is bleeding again. So, he goes to see a doctor the next day. After doing some tests, the doctor finds out that there is nothing wrong with Yun Hu and all the reports are normal. So, the doctor gives him some medicine to prevent the wound from getting infected. On the way back home, Yun Hu's driver tells Yun Hu that he has a sister-in-law named Hong Jin who has the power to see supernatural entities or dead souls. If Yun Hu wants, let's go meet Hong Jin. But Yun Hu doesn't believe in supernatural things like that, so he didn't like it. However, after Yun Hu falls asleep, mysterious and unexplainable events continue to occur, and he finally decides to go see Hong Jin. When Hong Jin sees Yun Hu, he sees that there are many evil forces surrounding Yun Hu. Not only that, Yun Hu points out the wound on his hand. But Hong Jin doesn't see it as a wound. It's as if a bright light is shining. Apparently, that mark has great power. So, before Yun Hu's father passed away, Yun Hu was a person who loved and respected God very much. But because not only his mother but also his father passed away, the gods were watching over him. And because of the hatred he had for God, Yun Hu is attracted to so many evil forces. Hong Jin tells Yun Hu that if he goes to the church on the other side of Seoul, Yun Hu will find the answers to these things. So, when Yun Hu goes to the church, something very strange happens. Suddenly, a flock of crows comes from nowhere and tries to attack Yun Hu. Meanwhile, we see two priests inside the church performing a pacification ceremony to save a young man who is possessed by a demonic spirit from the devil. The younger priest is Father Choi, and the older priest is Father An. Apparently, the demon possessed by the young man is very powerful. Because of this, the demon somehow escapes from the chair he is tied to and starts attacking Father An. But Father Choi goes to save Father An, and in the end, the demon tries to kill Choi. This scares Father Choi, and he runs out of the church. Now, Father An is alone in the church. Just as the demon is about to kill the spirit, Yun-hoo arrives and saves Father An. A fierce battle ensues between Yun-hoo and the demon. Yun-hoo unknowingly touches the demon with his scarred hand, causing it to burn with white flames. Seeing this, Father An pours holy water on the demon's face, completely destroying the demon spirit that possessed the young man. Yan realizes that the white flames are caused by the wounds on his hand. Father An looks at Yun-hoo's hand and says that it is just like the scars on Jesus' hand after he was crucified. According to Father An, it is believed that such a powerful sign can only be seen in those with a very strong will. But Yun-hoo doesn't believe in such things, so he didn't pay much attention to the story. At that time, about 100 of those mysterious voices start whispering in Yun-hoo's ears again, telling him to kill Priest An. Seeing that Yun-hoo is in a lot of trouble, Priest An prays for Yun-hoo, and then the voices disappear. Seeing this, Yun-hoo asks Priest An to come to his house and make a sacrifice. So Priest An comes to Yun-hoo's house and prays for Yun-hoo. Before Priest An leaves, he takes off the cross that was around Yun-hoo's neck for his protection and puts it on the table. Because of this, Yun-hoo sleeps soundly until he wakes up that day after a long time. Meanwhile, Pa-an had done some research and learned that a very evil and powerful dark bishop had come to Seoul. This dark bishop is the main reason for the demonic spirit-related things. This dark bishop's name is Ji Shin. He is a servant of the dark forces or dark spirits. What he does is to deceive people and infect their bodies with demonic forces and sacrifice those people's souls for his own immortality. Ji Shin also has a nightclub called Babylon. So, because of Ji Shin, a person who was possessed by a demonic spirit was the reason why his father, Sergeant Park, lost his life. So Ji Shin works his dark magic while sitting in a secret room in his nightclub. Ji Shin serves a dark force called Secret Sarban, who is inside the waterhole in that room. Meanwhile, Priest An comes to know about a girl who is possessed by another demonic force, but fighting such evil forces alone is not an easy task. After the incident at the church that day, Priest An's assistant, Priest Choi, had also completely left the work. Because of this, Priest An was unable to find a new assistant. Because of this, Priest An was looking for the girl alone when Yun-hoo stopped the car and asked Priest An to get in. So, since they had met often in the past few days, Yun-hoo was very aware of the things that Priest An was doing to save helpless people, but the man didn't want to show it. Knowing that Priest An was going to tame a demon alone, Yun-hoo asked Priest An if he could do it alone. Last time, the priest was going to die a little bit, right? The priest said that everything happens according to God's plan. So, don't be afraid, there won't be any trouble. Saying that, the priest got out of the car and went inside the building there. So, watching the priest go down alone, Yun-hoo remembered how his father had left home for the last time when he was a child to go to work. Thinking that this would cause trouble for the priest, Yun-hoo went inside the building with the priest. But this time, Yun-hoo was wearing a glove on his injured hand. The two of them then go to the house of a woman who lives in the same building. It seems that the woman lives in great fear. There are even bruises all over her face from being beaten by someone. The woman repeatedly points her hand to the upper floor and shows that her daughter, Soo-jin, is possessed by a powerful demon. So, both Priest An and Yun-hoo slowly walk towards Soo-jin's room. Before entering the room, Father An draws a cross on the door with a chalk stick made from a sacred olive tree so that the demon cannot escape. Soo-jin is very worried when she sees a priest carrying a cross and entering her room. Soo-jin also shouts and talks to her mother. The priest thinks that the demon is acting. So farther brings the cross he has in his hand closer to Soo-jin's face, but nothing happens. Soo-jin even touches the cross with both her hands. Soo-jin doesn't even look like she's possessed by a demon. Soo-jin says that her mother is very depressed and that her mother's face has scars from hitting her. But Priest An is still not sure about Soo-jin, so the priest puts another small cross on Soo-jin's forehead. There's no difference. So the priest talks to Yun-hoo and leaves the room, saying that maybe that evil force is hiding deep inside Soo-jin's body. But to check it out, Priest An enters the room again and forces a vial of holy water into Sujin's mouth. As expected, white smoke starts coming out of Sujin's mouth and she starts vomiting blood continuously. Sujin is actually possessed by a demon spirit and has been hiding inside her body. Even though she sees it, her body is numb. The demon throws the priest away with its power. So, Yun-ho tries to subdue the demon. But suddenly, the demon floats up to the ceiling with Yun-ho and manages to trap Yun-ho. The demon sees Yun-ho's father in Yun-ho's memories and says that he was possessed by the person who killed Yun-ho's father. Hearing this, Yun-ho gets very angry and jumps back into bed with the demon and starts squeezing Sujin's neck. The demon laughs loudly, as if it doesn't matter, and screams for him to squeeze even harder. So, Priest An tries to stop Yun-ho in order to save Sujin. Blinded by hatred, Priest Yun-ho also tries to push Sujin off the wall and kill her. But in the end, Yun-ho realizes what he is going to do out of anger, so Yun-ho somehow calms himself down. The next moment, Yun-ho takes off his glove and touches the demon's head with the injured hand. Just like before, the demon starts burning with white fire. At the same time, the priest pours the holy water he has on the demon's head, completely destroying the demon spirit. After resting for a few hours, the priest asks Sujin if Sujin has met anyone new in the past few weeks. The priest thinks that Sujin must have met the Dark Bishop and that he is the one who put the demon spirit into Sujin. Before Sujin can say anything, blood starts flowing from his eyes and his throat starts to hurt badly. Sujin, knowing that the demon that possessed him has been destroyed, the Dark Bishop has started to severely injure Sujin with a voodoo doll that is linked to Sujin. When the priest realizes what is happening, he starts praying to God to save Sujin. As a result, the magic ring in the Dark Bishop's hand starts to burn, and the voodoo doll that Sujin is linked to is also burned with white fire, and Paada is barely able to save Sujin's life. With this incident, the Dark Bishop realizes that there is someone out there who can challenge him, so he sacrifices a chicken to the secret serpent and hatches another terrible plan. Meanwhile, we see a little boy named Osho who lives in a Christian orphanage surrounded by a group of other children. Osho, who was crying in a dark corner of the street after being beaten up, is approached by the Dark Bishop disguised as a priest. The man tells Osho that he can make Osho very strong so that no one will bother him again. The little boy, who was very helpless, agrees to the man's proposal without even understanding the meaning of the Dark Bishop's story. The Dark Bishop then performs a ritual and injects 600 evil forces into Osho's body. Then, the Dark Bishop goes to meet Yun-ho, who was like his former assistant. The man says that he has a mark on his hand, like Yun-ho's. Priest An used it to destroy demons, and now the wound is very bad. Not only that, he says that Priest An is also a demon. Therefore, he should not believe anything he says. Although Yun-ho somehow does not believe the man's story, he feels a strange hesitation about the priest. The next morning, Priest An receives a call from the orphanage where Ozok is staying, saying that Ozok is possessed by an evil force and that even the church sisters are having a hard time taming Ozok. Therefore, Priest An calls Yun-ho to talk to Yun-ho. However, Yun-ho does not answer the phone due to the hesitation caused by the Dark Bishop's story the previous day. Therefore, when Priest An goes to the orphanage alone, he sees that the four sisters are making a great effort to tame Ozok. The prayers of those sisters had no effect on the demon that was possessed by Ozok. Therefore, Priest An, who immediately took action, tried to destroy the demon spirit by placing the cross in his hand on Ozok's face while praying. Although it seemed to be successful, the door of this room suddenly closed automatically, awakening the demon once again. So, since Ozok had about 600 demon spirits, it did not work out that he had destroyed one spirit. The next moment, the demon started screaming so loudly that it deafened his ears. As a result, one of the sisters' ears was pierced and she lost consciousness. Although Priest An did not answer the call, Yun-ho knew that the priest was calling because of some great emergency. Thinking that something was wrong with the priest, Yun-ho picked up the phone and answered the phone. Knowing that he will be fighting a demon alone today, Yun-ho quickly leaves for the orphanage. After destroying the demon spirits that were sitting on Osok's body, he can't even stand on his feet. He is very tired. No matter how many demon spirits he continues to destroy, Ozok doesn't care. Because of this, Ozok jumps on Priest An and starts beating him violently. Thinking of saving the priest, a sister takes the priest's cross and tries to drive the demon away. But suddenly, the demon that appears from the ceiling jumps on the sister and tries to kill her. At that moment, Yun-woo, who is lucky enough to be there, pulls the demon aside, burns the demon with his hand, and uses the priest's holy water to completely finish it off. With Yun-woo's power, the 600 demonic spirits inside Oh-suk's body are destroyed at once. This allows Yun-woo to save Father An, the sisters, and all the other children in the orphanage. After that incident, the priest asks little Oh-suk what happened to him. Oh-suk says that he remembers a strange person dressed as a priest performing some kind of prayer for him in a dream. So they realize that the Dark Bishop has also possessed this demonic spirit in the little boy. On the way back, Yun-woo apologizes to the priest for not answering the priest's call and being late. But the priest has no anger or remorse towards Yun-woo. Meanwhile, the Dark Bishop sits on the man's pot and prepares to make another sacrifice to the secret serpents. The man uses his powers to possess the body of the guard dog that was in Osho's orphanage and begins to control it. Then, Dark Bishop plays a trick to get little Osho out of his room, and after Osho comes out, he uses the dog to brutally kill the little boy. After Dark Bishop Oh-suk's pure soul is sacrificed to the secret serpent, he finds a fang from the secret serpent that has been poisoned. That night, a sister from the orphanage calls Priest An and tells him about Oh-suk's death. So the priest immediately goes to the morgue with Yun-woo. Little Oh-suk's neck has been completely eaten by a dog from the orphanage. The priest, who is in deep shock, prays for Oh-suk, and Yun-woo sees a mysterious priest in the next room. Thinking that it must be Dark Bishop, Yun-woo leaves Priest An alone in the morgue and runs after the priest when the body bag containing Oh-suk's body starts to shake. With great hesitation, the priest opened the body bag, and Oh-suk half stood up from the trolley and told the priest to help him. The priest, who was very confused, did not realize that it was a trap set by the Dark Bishop to separate him from Yun-woo. The next moment, the Dark Bishop stabbed the priest in the back with the poisoned tooth he had found from the secret serpent. When Yun-woo returned to the morgue to the sound of the priest's scream, the Dark Bishop was holding the priest with the poisoned tooth to his neck. The Dark Bishop told Yun-woo to let go of the mark on Yun-woo's hand if he wanted to save his feet. Although Yun-woo was willing to do it for his feet, the priest did not want Yun-woo to lose this power at all. Therefore, the priest stabbed him in the neck with that sharp tooth. Within seconds, the poison from the tooth enters the priest's body and makes him very ill. Therefore, Yun-woo, thinking of saving the priest somehow, takes the priest with him and finds the priest's former assistant, Priest Choi, and goes to his house. Seeing Priest An's condition, Priest Choi becomes very worried and starts praying to break the curse that has befallen him, but it doesn't seem to be very successful. Fearing that he will lose Priest An just like he lost his parents, Yun-woo goes to the church again and asks God to save the priest, but it doesn't work. Because of this, Yun-woo realizes that he will have to save the priest alone. Yun-woo decides to go find the Dark Bishop alone. Before Yun-woo leaves, Priest Choi gives Yun-woo a priest uniform. It was a gift from the Pope to Priest An and Priest An, who gave it to Priest Choi. Priest Choi says that the suit will protect Yun-woo when fighting against dark forces. So Yun-woo puts on the suit and rides his bike to meet Sujin, who was saved by Priest An, and asks Sujin where the Dark Bishop's club is. At the entrance of the club, Yun-woo has to fight a group of Dark Bishop's guards. They are all possessed by powerful demon spirits. Yun-woo uses his martial arts skills to fight them at the same time, and a fierce battle begins. Having to fight so many people at the same time, even though he is a skilled fighter, the fight was not easy for Yun-woo. Therefore, Yun-woo immediately comes up with a plan and goes a little further, pours a vial of Priest An's holy water into his injured hand, and starts fighting the enemies. With this method, Yun-woo is able to punch those demons in the face and destroy them one by one. Now the only one left is the Dark Bishop. The man knows that he cannot fight Yun-woo alone. Therefore, the Dark Bishop asks the Secret Serpent to give him power. But to do so, the Dark Bishop will have to make a great sacrifice. The Secret Serpent tells the man to stab himself in the heart with the poisoned fang he has. Since there is nothing else to do, the Dark Bishop stabs himself in the chest with his fang and then falls into the water hole there. A few seconds later, the Dark Bishop emerged from the water as a hideous hybrid creature that looked like a human and a snake. With this new form, the Dark Bishop was able to face Yun-ho without any hesitation. Yun-ho tried to finish the demon off with his scarred hand, but that didn't work either. The Dark Bishop was much more powerful than he seemed. As a result, Yun-ho had to be beaten up by the Dark Bishop. Yun-ho got back up and tried to fight the demon, but suddenly, the Dark Bishop appeared from behind Yun-ho and bit him on the shoulder. As a result, the poison spread throughout Yun-ho's body, just like it did to Priest An, and he lost consciousness. He then woke up in a blank world. From there, with the light visible in the distance, Yun-ho saw his missing father. Yun-ho, who had been in pain for his entire life over the loss of his father, cried when he saw his father. But his father held Yun-ho's hand and said, "Don't be afraid, son. I will always be by your side." At the same time, we see Yun-ho's hand begin to glow with bright light, and the next moment, he wakes up from the real world. Yun-ho's hand now begins to burn with a white flame, and his power has increased by 2 or 3 times. Because of this, the battle has completely turned upside down, and now Yun-ho can fight the Dark Bishop without any problems. Yun-ho hits the Dark Bishop hard. As the battle dragged on, the Dark Bishop gradually weakened, and Yun-ho hit the Dark Bishop's chest hard with his hand. Yun-ho then took the poisonous snake data that the Dark Bishop had attached to Pad An and destroyed it. After finishing off the Dark Bishop, Yun-ho was about to leave when the secret serpent suddenly emerged from the waterhole and dragged the Dark Bishop's body into the waterhole to punish him for failing the Dark Bishop's mission. Then Yun-ho went straight to find Pad An. So, Yun-ho defeated the Dark Bishop and destroyed the secret serpent's teeth, and the curse that had been placed on the priest An was completely removed. So a few days later, Father Choi also received a letter from Father An. So Yun-ho finally decided to become a priest and went to the Vatican with Father An. So this is how the super epic movie called The Divine Fury, released in 2019, ends. If you think this video is good, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to continue watching such great movies. Okay, then let's meet again in another brand new video like this.